So, evidently, the Vulcan mind meld and the syncing of all brains with technology is closer than ever. It's now considered emerging science, and it fits with just about everything they've hinted at for decades that we should expect in our glowing, progressive future. Besides lots of stuff in the media, take the Georgia Guidestones Monument, for example, which carves out a new 10 Commandments for the global era and cryptically refers to, quote, uniting humanity with a new living language, as it lays down proclamations in stone in a dozen languages, including both modern and ancient. This mysterious yet quite modern monument instantly conjures up the Tower of Babel, where an attempt to unite all mankind was thwarted by an angry god, and language was scattered in every direction. What is it referring to? A new living language. Is it the internet, the repository of the global brain, the marketplace where communication is instant and information is a commodity of constant exchange? Does it have anything to do with our brainwaves themselves, the signalers of a coded language inherent in all human beings that underlies our native tongues and other shared dialects? In the Minds of Men, we accurately noted that Norbert Wiener and his associates were decoding EEGs in the brain via their brainwave autocorrelator and developing something of a Rosetta Stone for this native language of the brain, which is the only truly non-symbolic language that's known at all. The ability to use real-time EEG data analysis to read the brain and to write the brain.
In chimpanzee Batty, brainwaves telemetered from the left and right amygdala were received and automatically analyzed by an online analog computer. This instrument was instructed to recognize a specific pattern of waves. The computer was also instructed to activate a stimulator. Each time the waves appeared, radio signals were sent to Patty's brain to stimulate a point known to have negative reinforcing properties. Electrical stimulation of one cerebral structure was contingent upon specific EEG patterns in another area of the brain.
For a long time now, neuroscience has been decoding and reprogramming the brain. As we mentioned in the Minds of Men, the 50s, 60s, and 70s proved the utility of automatic computer-driven behavior corrective signals sent to the brain, which were responding to incoming data being harvested from the brains of subjects and then telemetered to the autocorrelator. It was an eerie two-way process of detection and correction, especially in the context of aberrant behavior from emotionally disturbed mental patients and etc. Fast forward back to now, where among the latest developments coming to market and being reported in the press are devices that can read EEGs from the muscular motor speech center of the brain and detect the words that one thinks of or plans on saying, which can then synthesize that speech more or less accurately at a breakthrough rate of 150 words per minute.
The proof that you are seeking is not available in books.
The proof that you are seeking is not available in books.
The proof that you are seeking is not available in books.
Shipbuilding is a most fascinating process.
Shipbuilding is a most fascinating process.
So the breakthrough here is that they've got higher words per minute by reading the center of the brain that sends instructions for moving the tongue, jaw, and mouth to actually speak the words, rather than reading the speech center of the brain, where they've already made progress, but it's much slower and has so far only yielded 8 to 10 words a minute, not nearly fast enough to keep up with human speech. But by reading the muscular center, what the tongue is going to do, they're able to move much faster.
Hop, you, and top.
As the New York Times reports, the new system, described in the journal Nature, deciphers the brain's motor commands, guiding vocal movement during speech, the tap of the tongue, the narrowing of the lips, and generates intelligible sentences that approximate a speaker's natural cadence. And they've basically proven their principles and demonstrated it, and so it's very much moving forward. And so far, they say that as much as 70% of what was spoken by the virtual system has been intelligible. They've been able to actually understand it when it's played back. Some of it's garbled, but it's probably going to catch up quick. The study said, quote, "We showed by decoding the brain activity guiding articulation that we could simulate speech that is more accurate and natural sounding than that which is synthesized based on extracting sound representations from the brain." So they're bypassing the actual sound center and going to the motor center where the directions are sent to the tongue, right? See what they're saying? This is all rather closely related to what Regina Dugan said was coming out of the experimental wing at Facebook that she's been working with, which overlaps with her previous ties to DARPA and various government agencies and telecom giants.
What if you could type directly from your brain? It sounds impossible, but it's closer than you may realize. We're talking about decoding those words, the ones you've already decided to share, by sending them to the speech center of your brain. A silent speech interface. We have a goal of creating a system capable of typing 100 words per minute straight from your brain.
And with this technology, the applications are various, but in essence, Facebook plans to read your mind and automatically type answers for you, or even automatically respond to words and phrases and speech before it ever even comes out of your mouth. It's like closer and closer to telepathy of some kind. And this technology could help certain classes of disabled people, probably. But right now, there are many groups of disabled people that it wouldn't help, at least at the present time. The chief example being stroke victims, whose motor speech areas are typically damaged along with other speech-related capabilities. So this application wouldn't really help that. So what do they really want it for? And what does it mean for the Fifth Amendment that's supposed to protect you from being compelled to testify against yourself, and the First Amendment that's supposed to give you free speech?
Whether or not there are any human rights, if there's any constitutional protections for something like freedom of thought or mental privacy or cognitive liberty, nothing like that exists yet.
Is there a paradox between free speech and the loose lips of a computer reading what you're thinking about saying before you've even said it?
Thoughts and feelings that you may not be able to verbalize, or you may not want to verbalize, and they may still leave a signature in your brain, and we might be able to decode that.
Certain forms of mind reading, I think, legal systems don't bake in any presumption that we can do that, and so there's no legal protections that could be afforded to you.
On the one hand, social media platforms and other tech overlords have been increasingly pruning free speech and expression online. They've been limiting it and curtailing what people are allowed to say and even talk about, and even specific people they can't mention, specific topics. On the other hand, this and other related technologies have given powerful tech corporations the ability to scan your brain for confessions.
Personally, I think it's just a matter of time before there will be a portable brain decoding technology that decodes language as fast as you can type with your thumbs on your cell phone.
Wow.
And everyone will wear them because people have shown that they're quite willing to give up privacy for convenience.
For biometric indicators of stress, worry, anxiety, distraction, the increased heart rate that might give away your guilt, and even the words on the tip of your tongue. Orwell's 3 cubic centimeters of reserved freedom inside your head has been impinged upon. It's been invaded by the development of technology. And the powers and technologies that be are on the cusp of data mining our very gray matter, and might easily turn over secrets we had hoped to keep, or simply comments that are too rude or inappropriate to say in the first place. Think about it.
And once you decode internal speech, then you essentially have the sort of worst possible brain decoding device.
If thought crimes become a punishable offense, even when you are far from even contemplating any such action, we enter into a world that's not only void of privacy and the decency of basic civil liberties, but one in which our brains become an informant against us. You can't hang on to your seat by playing the bizarro, politically correct rules of language and discourse if your thoughts give you away.
I think the cure is mind reading, and I think we're going to accept that cure. Because, Elon is working on some sort of neural link thing.
It's the only way we'll know if someone's telling the truth.
We're going to have it. I think it's good. We're going to accept it, and we're going to give in. I think they're going to create a universal language, some augmented reality language.
Decoding the language of language decoding the communication in the brain underlying the communication between ourselves and other people in the outside world is a matter of cutting out the middleman and the sanctity of it all and getting straight at the switches, the control levers. There are even advertisements for 5G depicting a walk down the techno street where two colleagues are communicating in different languages, yet are instantly and effortlessly able to understand and respond to a language that would otherwise be foreign and incomprehensible to them, all with the help of some unseen technology.
It's so seamless, the technology disappears.
You know what? I do. It's
Erasing language barriers as we speak.
Erasing language barriers as we speak.
Blurring the lines between virtual and reality.
Ben?
Gabrielle?
Yeah, didn't I meet you at that event?
And although the commercial doesn't explicitly say so, clearly this is some kind of technology that invasively reads brainwaves and interprets them. This is a drastic bridge over the gulfs in our lives, and at what cost?
Imagine, for example, going to a foreign country. You bump into somebody and they start to talk to you in a foreign language. No problem. In the future, you will see subtitles. Subtitles of a foreign language in your contact lens.
It's a manifestation of synthetic telepathy and an apparent part of our complete breakfast in the very near future of 5G hypercommunication, where tech giants plan to put us at the center of a cyborg ecosystem of constant monitoring and feedback, with an Internet of Things array of devices which will be everywhere and which can rapidly and instantly parlay data about anything and everything.
Imagine you walk into a room and the room is dynamic, right? And you, again, with your permission and all of that, you're interacting with the things going on in the room. A highly personalized, highly interactive, and very, very interesting world emerges because of the disappearance of the Internet.
And they'll make inferences and determinations about all our behavior, our well-being, and the care and decisions that are increasingly to be made on our behalf by the smarter and smarter devices. Not decisions made necessarily by us, but for us, with us in mind, tailored and geared towards our taste, but not actually chosen by us. Ironically, these devices will begin to disappear. They'll physically shrink down until we forget about them, and yet they'll automate our very interaction with the environment around us.
It's so seamless, the technology disappears.
That computer chips will cost a penny, like electricity. They'll be everywhere and nowhere. You will assume the room is intelligent.
I would answer very simply that the Internet will disappear. The Internet there'll be so many IP addresses because of IPv6, so many devices, sensors, things that you're wearing, things that you're interacting with, that you won't even sense it. It'll be part of your presence all the time.
Seems pretty Star Trek to me, but here we are. The IEEE Spectrum Journal recently reported on the new wave of hearables, which are themselves a new part of the wave of wearables that are designed to monitor the brain's activities in the ear and which become portals to the nervous activity in the brain. They suggest that, as it turns out, the ear not only writes information to the brain that it detects through audio signal impulses that it hears and interprets, but it provides an accurate read on the brain for technology that could pick up on minute and extremely subtle bioindicators, giving away when we're stressed out, when we can't hear stuff well, or when we're simply overwhelmed by a loud, crowded, noisy environment. This biofeedback mechanism could apparently then be used to modulate the volume at which we are hearing things in a noisy room. It could, theoretically, drown out a flood of voices at a cocktail party, stressful and obnoxious music, while fine-tuning the reception of voices our ears tell the machines we want to hear. That TV broadcast halfway across the restaurant, or God forbid, a prattling guest at our own dinner table. Scenario 1 from the IEEE Journal says, quote, say you're trying to follow a basketball game on TV while cooking in your kitchen. You're having trouble following the action, and your hearables know there's a problem because they've detected an increase in your mental stress based on the changes in your blood pressure and brain waves. They can figure out exactly where you're trying to direct your attention by pairing that stress increase with variations in the electrical signals created in your ear as you move your eyes. then the hearables will automatically increase the volume of sounds coming from that direction. That's a pretty simple fix that could make you a little more relaxed when you finally get to the dinner table. And the same technology will just as easily drown out nagging spouses, whining kids, and other unpleasant stimuli more than already is the case, potentially putting yet another barrier between us and an authentic interaction with the world around us. Instead, these machines will apparently be designed to acquiesce to our stress levels and preferences by automatically determining to cue up or turn down the volume on calming music tailored to individual taste stored in a database, or automatically direct the driver to a bathroom when his kid is muted in the back seat yet whining for a bathroom break on a long road trip. The IEEE journal writes, Scenario 3. You're tired from hours of driving and the children are getting noisy, which makes it hard for you to pay attention to the directions coming from your smartphone. And then your daughter announces she needs to go to the potty. Now. Your hearables detect the increasing noisy unrest from the children in the back seat, as well as the mental stress it's putting on you. The devices increase the smartphone volume while also instructing the car to adjust seat temperature and airflow, inspired by previously tracked biometrics, and perhaps start softly playing your favorite music. They even understand your child's "I need to go to potty" as a bathroom request, analyze it and determine its urgency, and decide whether the navigation app should immediately search for the closest rest stop or look for one near a restaurant because they also heard your other daughter say she's hungry. So theoretically, they'll be making all kinds of decisions for you. They certainly could be. Beyond that, such a device might be used to alert you to less than stellar health, the early onset of disease, or the failure of a major organ of some kind or some other device in your house, perhaps even years in advance. It will supposedly see mental health issues coming a mile away and predict the rise of antisocial behavior before it ever happens, just as Hal predicted a satellite failure in 2001: A Space Odyssey. These articles are just a couple of recent examples, but the point is that the technology is here, or it's arriving soon. And so it might be time that we thought about what is being planned for us and what we think we're going to do in the system that's being very rapidly built. The IEEE journal writes, quote, "But what would a hearable, perhaps one bought simply to improve hearing in restaurants and keep an eye on the user's blood pressure, do with that kind of information? A hearable that listens to its owner for weeks, months, or years will have deep insight into that person's mind. If it concludes that someone needs help, should it alert a family member, physician, or even law enforcement? Clearly, there are ethical questions to answer. Early intervention and knowledge is an enormous benefit, but it will come at a cost. Either we'll have to be willing to give up our privacy, as in all of it, or invest in a better infrastructure to protect it. Some questions raised by AI-powered hearables aren't easily answered. Yeah, the whole thing is set up also as a spy grid and as a data feedback flow to give more and more information to that continued process, and people, even if they're innocent of anything gross or negligent or criminal, they become kept creatures of this system. They become pets. The more we give data back to this system, the more the system takes control and becomes our overlords. Not necessarily ill-spirited, but certainly in control. Pretty quickly getting to a point where it's not even clear, would we still have individual control over our lives? It's not even a question if the NSA or the CIA or law enforcement will be tapping this information to derive information about the people that they want to know about, either about all the mass of consumers at large and what they want and what they're shopping for, how they're responding and what they're interested in, and also the people they spy on, the people they suspect of things, the people they want to tap and listen into. Obviously, that's already going on, and there's no sign that that's going to turn around. But also, in our individual lives, in the innocent, we're not doing anything wrong version, we're giving up a lot of sovereignty to these machines. And it's increasingly clear that the medium will indeed be the message when the hearable wearables just around the corner completely mediate what we actually hear, while machines increasingly predict and preempt our speech, our thoughts, and mind meld our hive mind asses into a culture of telepathic compliance with the AI overlords that be. The instant and continuous feedback of such devices amongst a sea of others that are coming through rapid, no latency 5G signals will bombard us with an eggshell existence in society. We'll be cut off from the actual reality and will be fed, will be propagated certain ideas.
5G doesn't just connect smartphones. It connects the Internet of Things, anything with a chip in it. Think self-driving cars, smart cities, your body. Soon, probably. I know, it's worrisome.
In this environment, nothing can be kept hidden or private, and basically everything would be designed to bend towards data-driven solutions, even if they're tailor-made and custom to what you actually like. In fact, that's the danger. You might actually like it. It might be so custom fit to your desires that you don't even notice that you're giving up control, that you're giving up your own personal sovereignty and identity.
We already have, we're already a cyborg. It's just that, I mean, you have a digital version of yourself or partial version of yourself online in the form of your emails and your social media and all the things that you do. And you have basically superpowers in that with your computer and your phone and the applications that are there. You have more power than the President of the United States had 20 years ago. You can answer any question.
Appliances and machines will run efficiently, and human beings will run like machines and appliances, easily molded by instant information, answers, and behavioral nudges that drive us through simple suggestions that are proven to prime our responses and condition our responses. The once unknowable black box of the brain is now easily read, infiltrated, and modified. Why did God supposedly knock down the Tower of Babel exactly? I thought all this convenient technology was just good, with no drawbacks, no consequences, and only benefits. Can you even see the road ahead?